Hey there, everybody. I'm Gary, and this is Physical Format Rock and Roll. Thank you so much for tuning in. I greatly appreciate it. This will be a concert review. This last Saturday night, my beautiful wife and I went and saw Jackson Browne as he opened up for James Taylor. Jackson Browne is currently touring off of this wonderful album, Downhill from Everywhere, that was released earlier this year. And he has landed the opening slot of, like I said, the James Taylor show. Now, Jackson Browne is a artist that I will be honest with you, I never really had a whole lot of interest in him before probably this year. I mean, he always had a couple songs that I liked. But my good friend Rich Strickler and JT's Record Room, they did a special together, or an episode, couple episodes together, where they talked about Jackson Browne and his different albums, and it really piqued my interest. And another buddy of mine, Chris Profi, he sent me one of his records, and I don't know, I kind of went from there. And you guys know I'm kind of cheap sometimes, so the great thing about Jackson Browne is I've been able to get a good amount of his records pretty cheap. So a lot of his stuff, I'm still not familiar with. So, I'm not claiming to be any kind of expert. I like him now, and I'm getting into his music. And my youngest son, Alex, was able to get some tickets, complimentary tickets to the show that he let me use. So my wife and I went and seen it. So he started off the show with Somebody's Baby, which, if you're of my age, that makes you think of Fast Times at Ridgemont High. Definitely, when I think of that movie, I think of that, and I think of the scene. It just definitely takes me back to that movie. I love that movie. It's one of my favorite movies. So I thought of that. And after that, he kind of went more, and he did a lot of stuff. He only did like 11 songs. So being the opening act, he's not going to do that many. So he did like 11 songs, and a decent amount of them was from his latest album. So I don't think, a lot of the people in the crowd were probably as familiar with it. You know how a lot of people are, a lot of older people, right? It was, there was young people at this crowd too, but there was a lot of older people. A lot of older people don't buy new music, right? They're not everybody's like you and I. So they weren't very familiar with a lot of the new stuff that he did, but I liked it. I think it's a very good album. So anyway, after Somebody's Baby, he started going into stuff that wasn't quite the hits. I wrote down, he did Somebody's Baby, The Barricades of Heaven, The Long Way Around, Fountains of Sorrow, Downhill from Everywhere. That song really gets stuck in your head. The Dreamer, Until Justice is Real. And then, Doctor My Eyes. Of course, everybody knew that. Pretty much as soon as he did the first chords on the piano, everybody knew what that song was. So that brought some people back. They did Late for the Sky. Well, that was great. Did The Pretender and Running on Empty. Into the show with Running on Empty. Now, when he did The Pretender and Running on Empty, James Taylor came out and did those songs with him. So that was kind of cool, seeing those two on stage together. Jackson Browne, of course, is not the Jackson Browne that you might remember from the late 70s and early 80s, where he had the brown hair parted in the middle, and, one of those kind of guys. It's all gray. Now he's got a gray beard and everything, so he's definitely looks older. But he sounds great. His voice is still there. Even, my wife commented on how good he sounded And he did. I thought his voice sounded really good. The band was excellent, of course. He's got a great band with him. Everybody sounded good. The background singers uh, were very good and very prominent. They played quite the role in the show. They weren't just in a background. I mean, they came up to the front of the stage at times, and it was really good. I really liked the show. Like I said, I am still kind of getting into Jackson Browne, even though obviously he's been around forever. I've been around forever, but I was just never really that much into him. But I really, really am starting to like him a lot more now. So I very much enjoyed this show, and I would, if you're a Jackson Browne fan, I would recommend seeing it. It was great. Uh, he ended, of course, with the hits, running on empty. I would have liked to heard Lawyers in Love. That was a song I always remember from the 80s and MTV that I liked. I always liked that song. I thought it would have been cool, but I guess it wasn't too big of a hit. But overall, very enjoyable show. Like I said, he sounded great, band sounded great. And if you get a chance to see it, if you're a Jackson Browne fan, I would definitely recommend going and seeing the show. So that's a quick little review of the show. And until the next time, my friends, I will see you down the road.